Tony Dunn here with the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast, bringing you the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. The 4-3 Carolina Panthers venture to Raymond James Stadium to take on the 2-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have dropped 3 straight. After a stinker of a game in Chicago last week when the Panthers lost their second straight to a team that only passed the ball 7 times and didn't score an offensive touchdown, the Panthers have found themselves 2.5-point underdogs to a Bucs team that has struggled to find ways to win despite the heightened preseason expectations surrounding the team. For the Panthers, a loss would only further negate a hot start to the season, and for the Bucs, it would likely end any foreseeable opportunity for a late season turnaround. Both teams are going to be fighting hard for this victory. The Panthers are playing to save a little face and keep their chase for the division title in sight. The Bucs are a wounded animal in the corner that needs to find a way to win. Here are 5 keys to the game that Carolina will need to unlock a victory in Raymond James Stadium. The first key is offensive line protection. Carolina has struggled to run the ball and to protect Cam Newton. Ryan Khalil will miss his 7th game of the season after returning from a neck injury for only a quarter of play last week. Tyler Larson, who was an undrafted rookie free agent in 2014, has started 16 games for the Carolina Panthers between last year and this season. But he's been okay at best and has really just shown how valuable Khalil was to this, or is to this Carolina Panthers offensive line. Trey Turner suffered a minor knee injury against the Bears, was a full participant in practice this week, and hopefully is a go because we saw what happens when Amili Silatulu comes in. It's disastrous. And speaking of disastrous, Matt Khalil played one of his worst games of the season, and that's something to be said given the way he's played. He surrendered 7 pressures and a sack, which gave him the honor of being one of the worst graded tackles in the NFL last week by Pro Football Focus. Newton has been sacked 22 times this season, is on pace for 50 on the year. Carolina's offensive line has to keep Cam clean and really start to block in the run game if they're going to try to get any rushing attack outside of Cam Newton. It's going to be pivotal for these guys to show up and play because you've got Gerald McCoy, who's a beast on the other side, and Carolina needs to get something done this week. Second key to this game is Shaq Thompson, who will need to have a big game against a team who has 2 versatile tight ends in Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. Brate is a formidable passing option. He's averaged 57 yards per game with 4 touchdowns on the season. And highly touted rookie O.J. Howard had a breakout game last week against the Bills, recording 6 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's talents like this for which Carolina drafted Shaq Thompson in the first place. You know, the Buffalo nickel is meant to stop teams that have pass-catching tight ends like Brate and Howard. And if Thompson can frustrate these two, it will go a long way to slowing down this Bucs offense. The third key to this game are the Panthers' safeties. They're going to have to be on their game as Carolina faces one of the best receiving corps in the National Football League in Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson. Mike Evans continues to be a force to be reckoned with, and he's going to be a tough matchup for James Bradberry. And Carolina has really struggled to find a counterpart to Bradberry and a consistent option on the other side in Daryl Worley and Kevon Seymour. They've been rotating these guys, trying to figure out who can fit into that role. So Jackson's big play ability could give them fits, or will give them fits, and it's going to require Carolina safeties to play smart and fast. Fortunately, Kirk Coleman is slated to return this week. He's practiced all week after suffering a knee sprain a couple of weeks ago. And that could be a big help to the Carolina Panthers secondary. He's a critical component to the Panthers defense. And he's going to have to be playing at the top of his game, though, to help limit big plays, which we've seen that this Bucs team is capable of doing. The fourth key of this game is Cam Newton's got to be Super Cam. This team lives and dies with Cam Newton. And the wins over the Patriots and the Lions, Newton played some of the best football of his career, completing 77% of his passes for an average of 336 yards per game. He had 6 touchdowns and 1 interception in that 2-game stretch. The following 2 games were statistically opposite. In these two losses, Cam had a 57% completion rate. He averaged 225 yards passing, and he threw 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions. Carolina's inability to run the ball and the difficulty they've had in stretching the field, this requires Cam Newton to play elite-level football if this offense is going to perform well. And they're likely going to have to perform well going against a team like the Bucs, where their offense is one of the best in the league so far statistically. The fifth key is winning the turnover battle. Like the need for Cam to be at the top of his game every week, we could put this down as a key every week. Winning the turnover battle is critical in the NFL. It's also something Carolina hasn't really been able to do that much this season. Last week, 2 of Carolina's turnovers were returned for touchdowns and were the only TDs that the Bears could score that day. In the previous week, Carolina had 2 turnovers within their own 25-yard line that led to Eagles scores. So this has been something that's hurt the Panthers. Carolina's going to have to protect the ball on offense, and the defense could help them out by creating some turnovers too. Carolina hasn't had an interception since week 1, and that came from Luke Kuechly. Bucs quarterback Jameis Winston, however, he likes to take some chances. He's been known to throw a pick or 5. So forcing a couple of turnovers on defense and protecting the ball on offense, that will go a long way for Carolina to pull out a win on the road against a divisional opponent. These are only 5 important keys to Carolina's success, and although Ron Rivera tells us each and every week that it comes down to 2 or 3 plays, Carolina's going to have to do a lot of things well if they want to pull out this win. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to manage the clock better. And they really probably need to exploit a Buccaneers secondary that struggled at both in performance and with injury if they're going to want to unlock that Pirates chest and steal that booty from the Bucs. Be sure to visit Carolina Cat Chronicles for the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Smash that thumbs up button and give this video a share. It helps a ton. If you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, wherever you get it, we could use your help too. Write us a review. It can help other Panther fans find this podcast and help us grow. And hey, with all the national trash reports floating around from Monday morning quarterback Colin Cowherd or this person named Terez Owens that I don't know, we need to stick together. Support indie content and help grow Panther Nation. Keep pounding. Subscribe to the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or anywhere you can catch an RSS feed. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective.
Great cash, homie.